Alright, in the last video we stopped at number 11. We're going to go with number 12. Number 12 is when you to graph the equation, right? There's many ways to do this. A good way to just find already 1 point is the y-intercept, so make x 0. Use 0 plus 1, which is just 1. So you have x is 0 and y is 1, so we know this is a point. You could use the slope method if you want. I'm going to just plot points. Sometimes that works for me, and it limits the amount of times I make a mistake. We're going to find, I usually like to go a -1, we did 0, so we don't need a 0, and 1, that kind of gets me an idea of what's happening. So -1, plug it in for -2 times -1, which is 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. +1 times -2 is -2, plus 1 is -1. So from there I already have 2 points, 2 more points I can add, so -1 and 3, so 1, 2, 3, and a +1, -1, which is right here. So I kind of have an estimate what it's doing, and you can see here with the slope, -2 is basically -2 over 1, so you're basically going down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, and you can kind of see that there. So I was just wanting to show you guys there's many ways to do this kind of problem. So from there, and then you kind of have a line on your test. You're not going to probably have to draw it. They're probably just going to already give you, this is not very straight, but get the idea. You'll just basically choose a graph, or you will make the, have the computer make the line for you. Number 13 is graph the equation. This is that one where you want to use this. Either you can just graph it from points, or you can remember that y to the x, that, right, is a V shape. So we're going to use that method here. We already know that this, I'm going to put this in red. Red is this one, right? So this is already y to the absolute value of x, right? Now in blue, we know this is just brought up two y points, right? So we have 1, 2, and right here, this is really bad lines, but the idea is remembering the V shape, right? They want you to see that you only rose from the origin by 2 from that 2. So I'm going to erase this so you don't get confused real quick. But yeah, so here is your answer, and then from there, I'm going to try my best on straight lines. I apologize. But that's kind of the point, as you're going up to 2. Alright, number 14. Given the function graph, find f -1. So this is the way of y, right? Y equals fx, we know. What they're asking is if x equals -1, what is y? Right? So let's find -1 on x. That's right here, right? 1, 2. Right here is that point. Y equals -2. So this is where you kind of write it as this. Again, your test will be multiple choice, so you'll be able to just choose the answer that shows you that it equals -2. All right, number 15 is kind of the opposite of 14. 14 was asking you what y equals. Here is asking you what x gets you to y equaling -2. So let's find where y equals -2. And you can see here, y equals -2 down here at this point. What's x? 1, right? Because we only moved 1 here. So we have x equals 1. Alright, number 16, find the domain of fx. So if you remember, the domain is basically what x can be and if there are any limitations to it. Like your teacher said in class, the only limitations you're probably going to see are when there's exponents or a fraction with the denominator, right? So from here, x minus 5 is the denominator. It cannot equal 0, right? Because that is undetermined and not possible. So from there, we solve this equation, and we adding 5 to both sides. We get 5. X cannot equal 5. So if you remember what in class they said, basically you're going to assume X is all real, or not all real numbers, is a real number, and X cannot equal 5. So this right here is your domain. So X can be anything less than 5, X can be anything greater than 5, but it cannot be 5. So that's kind of what a domain is. All right, number 17, determine the function value, find f negative 2 when fx is this equation, right? So this is where they're plugging x as negative 2. Kind of what we did at the very beginning in the first problems. So let's plug negative 2 in wherever we see an x. So we have f negative 2. Oh, we see x to the squared is actually now negative 2 to the squared. And then we have 3 times negative 2 minus 5. And from there we get negative 2 squared, right, is a positive 4. 3 times negative 2 is a negative 6. And we have a negative 5. From there, simplifying, you're going to get to a negative 7, and that is your answer. All right, number 18, determine the slope and y-intercept. So from this one, there's many different ways to do it. What I would want to do is get it into this formation of y equals mx plus b, fx equals y. So I'm going to kind of read it right here so you guys kind of see that. That gets us to a y. Now let's get y by itself. So we have 2y, we're going to add 3x, right, do the opposite. 41 plus 3x. Now we're going to divide everything by 2. We have y by itself, we have 41 over 2 plus 3 over 2x. And that right there is a point form. We see this is our m, 3 over 2 equals m, and 41 over 2 equals our y-intercept, or our b. So this is kind of what your answer would be. There's many different ways. If you saw another way to find it, as long as you're finding the slope and the intercept, all is good. Or is m, or you're finding m and b. All right, number 19, find the slope containing the 2 points. So this is where you want to start remembering those. For these tests, you definitely want to remember your formulas. This formula, you're wanting to use the y1 or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Because it's only asking for the slope. We don't need b, so we can just find m. So from there, we have negative 4 minus negative 12 over 3 minus 15. From there, you get 8 over negative, it's all negative, so negative 12 or whichever makes sense. And that simplifies to a negative 2 over 3, and that is your n using that formula. All right, number 20. A deep sea diving bell is being lowered at a constant rate. After 10 minutes, the bell is at a depth of 200 feet. After 25 minutes, it's at a 1,400 feet. What is the average rate of change? Again, you're solving just for m, right? We can use that point slope form again, or we can use that point slope form. We can use our equation here, right? So first we got to figure out our points. Our 2 points are 10 minutes, 200 feet, 25 minutes, 1,400 feet. And right there you have 2 points. So y2 minus y1, 200, over 25 minus 10. That should get you to a 12,000 over 15, or 80 feet per minute. So that for that one is wanting you to see using this formula in a word problem.